Puglia, probably one of the most underrated regions in Italy, and in this video I'm going to take you through 7 destinations plus one hidden gem that, in my opinion, show you exactly why. But let's drive in. We start in Lecce, and I want to give you a little context before we walk into the old town. Because Lecce is not just beautiful, it's historically extraordinary. This was a major Roman city, and the evidence is right there in the center. The Colonna di Santo Ronzo, the column standing in Piazza di Santo Ronzo, is one of the 2 original Roman columns that mark the end of the Via Appia, the ancient road that connected Rome to port of Brindisi. The other column is still in Brindisi, but this one was moved here in the 17th century. And right next to it, half submerged below the street level, is a Roman amphitheater dating to the 2nd century AD. Still excavated, still partially visible, sitting in the middle of a living modern city. The rest of the old town is designed in the famous Lecce Baroque style, and the old Centro Storico is a masterpiece. Give it a full day as a minimum, but stay the night if you can. From Lecce, head southeast towards the Adriatic coast and the easternmost city in Italy. And this is Otranto, that sits on the very tip of the hill. The first Italian city to see the sunrise every single morning, with Albania visible on the horizon on a clear day. And Otranto earns its place on this list for 3 different reasons. The first one, the Aragonese Castle, is the first thing to visit. A 15th century fortress built directly above the sea, generally imposing, with walls thick enough to walk on and views across the channel that are just unique. And then you have the Cathedral of Santa Maria Annunziata, which is the second reason. The entire floor of the cathedral is covered by 12th century mosaic, one of the most remarkable pieces of medieval art in Europe, and almost nobody knows about it. And then about 2.6 kilometers south of Otranto is the Laghetto Cave di Bauxite. This laghetto is a former bauxite quarry abandoned in 1976 that has transformed into one of the most surreal natural landscapes in Italy. And by the way, if you are still sorting the car for this road trip, well, I suggest checking out my favorite aggregator that works as an Airbnb of car rentals, where every supplier is rated between 5 and 10 stars by real customers who actually completed the rental, not like Google Maps where anyone can post actually a review. I usually filter above 8 or even 9 stars to shortlist the best rated providers. Then I sort by price and type of car, and I book from there. As easy as that. I'm gonna leave a link to the website in the video description. Have a check, and if you find a good deal, book it straight away, because cancellation is anyway free of charge up to 48 hours before pickup. So locking in early costs you nothing. And if you want to go deeper on the rental side specifically, which airport, which suppliers, what to avoid, I have a dedicated car rental guide for Puglia already on the channel. Link was in the corner. And now drive north along the Adriatic coast, and at a certain point the landscape opens up. Flat, silver green olive fields stretching in every direction, and then rising from the plain you see Ostuni, the white city. By the way, some of these olive trees are over 1,000 years old. In fact, Puglia has more ancient olive trees than anywhere else in the world. So why is Ostuni called the white city? Simply because the buildings of the hilltop old town are whitewashed so consistently, so brilliantly white, that on a sunny day it's almost difficult to look directly at them. So what's the reason of the white color? Well, the tradition goes back centuries and is practical as much as aesthetics. White reflects heat, which matters enormously in a Puglian summer, I tell you. The old town rises in concentric rings around the highest point, where the core cathedral of Santa Maria Assunta stands out. Walk a few meters south and you will be in the popular Piazza della Libertà, where stands the Colonna di Santo Ronzo, the same saint whose column stands in Lecce. In fact, this is the patron saint venerated across the Salento area in the south of Puglia. Walk up through the wide lanes, find the cathedral terrace, look out over the olive fields towards the sea, That view is why Osturni has the reputation it has. Next stop, around 40 minutes from Osturni, is Loco Rotondo. An interesting fact here, the name Loco Rotondo means round place in the local dialect, and the town is exactly that. Built in a perfect circle on top of a hill, with streets that follow the curve of the original walls in concentric rings around the central point. It's one of the very few towns in Italy with this geometric layout, and the reason is simple. The entire settlement was planned around a single defensive perimeter and then built outward from there in a shape that required no corners, no dead hands, and no weak points. And the Chiesa Madre di San Giorgio Martire, the main church at the top of the hill, has a neoclassical facade that looks almost out of place in this medieval setting, and the views from the surrounding terrace over the Valle d'Itria are some of the best in Puglia. From Loco Rotondo, head north 20 minutes where you will find the most architecturally unique town in Italy. This is, of course, Alberobello. I'm sure you have already seen the photos of these conical stone roofs covering an entire hillside neighborhood. The trulli, these remarkable dry stone buildings with their conical limestone roofs, are a construction technique that originated in this area of Puglia somewhere around the 14th century. The exact origin is actually debated, but one persistent story is that they were built without mortar, specifically so they could be quickly demolished to avoid the property taxes, a pile of stones rather than a taxable structure. Whether or not that is entirely accurate, the technique produced something genuinely extraordinary, and the Rione Monte district of Alberobello, entirely covered by trulli, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site unlike anything else on Earth. And yes, it's a touristy, and yes, in the middle of July afternoon it's busy, but arrive early in the morning before the tour buses and walk the upper lanes of the Rione Monte with a light low and almost nobody around, and it is magical. The kind of place that earns its reputation every single time. And now head northwest towards the Adriatic coast once again, and you will find one of the most dramatic settings of any town in southern Italy, Polignano a Mare. The old town is built directly on a limestone cliff above the sea, not near the sea, not looking at the sea, but literally constructed on top of it. The buildings at the edge of the main square overhang the water. You look down and there is nothing between you and the Adriatic 30 meters below. And then you have the beautiful Grotta Piana beach that sits inside a cove carved into the base of those cliffs, reached by a staircase that descends from the town above. An interesting site just outside of the old town walls is the square with a statue of Domenico Modugno, the singer and songwriter from Polignano a Mare who wrote Volare, oh, in 1958, one of the most famous Italian songs ever recorded. And now I know Matera is not in Puglia. It's technically in Basilicata, the neighboring region to the west, but it's less than an hour from Bari. It borders Puglia completely, and it would honestly be such a pity to miss it that I am including it here without apology, because Matera is one of the most extraordinary cities in the world. The Sassi, the famous cave dwellings carved into the ravine walls over thousands of years, are among the oldest continuously inhabited human settlement on Earth. People lived in these caves from the Paleolithic era. They were still living in them in the 1950s when the Italian government forcibly relocated the population, declaring the conditions unacceptable. Today, those same caves have been restored as hotels, restaurants, churches and homes. I highly suggest having at least another stay in Matera because the night lights of the Sassi are absolutely beautiful. Trust me, Matera at night is one of the most beautiful things you can experience in Italy. And by the way, I'm gonna add in the video description also a bunch of my favorite accommodation along this road trip. Have a look and book well in advance if visiting in July and August. And now, what about the hidden gem? Well, if you already visit Matera on another trip in the past, for example, or if you find it slightly too well known for your taste, you should not miss Gravina in Puglia, because Gravina gives you something remarkably similar to Matera. You know, a town built on the edge of a dramatic ravine, cave churches carved into the rock face, an ancient settlement that goes back millennia, but with almost no international tourism whatsoever. You arrive and the town is simply going about its day. The Ponte Acquedotto, the ancient aqueduct bridge crossing the gorge, is the image that stops people in their tracks. 2 levels of arches spanning the ravine, built in the 16th century, still standing perfectly. The ravine is just an hour from Bari, 30 minutes from Matera, still a great place to discover. But let me give you 5 practical takeaways from this Puglia road trip. Both Brindisi and Bari airports are good starting points for the road trip to explore these 7 places. Try to make it early to Alberobello and to Polignano. Both reward an early start. Mid-year arrival means peak tourist time. And do not skip the Cava di Bauxite near Otranto. It takes 30 minutes and looks like nothing else in Italy. And Matera deserves at least one night. The Sassi night is worth the detour from Puglia entirely. And if you want something that feels like Matera before the world discovered it, drive to Gravina. And if you have any question about these 8 sites or you are unsure about any other places you want to visit, just drop a message in the comment area. I read and reply usually in no time. And always remember that a like really helps the channel, and subscribe if you want more Italian content on the way. Next week I will talk actually about an area you don't want to miss, believe me. And ciao ciao, a presto, see you in the next one.